In the far and silent corners of the Andral galaxy, two great powers stood against each other. On one side was the proud Zalarian Empire, known for its shining cities, tall warriors, and cold hearts. On the other side stood humanity, small but stubborn, spread across the stars with more courage than strength. For 50 long years their war had burned through planets, taking lives and leaving ashes behind. The war had tired both sides. Supplies ran low, soldiers grew weary, and even the proud Zalarians began to fear endless loss. When their leaders finally agreed to talk peace, they wanted the final treaty to remind everyone that the Zalarians were still superior. In their grand hall of glass and silver, the Zalarian High Council gathered to plan how to insult the humans while pretending to make peace. "We will give them a gift," said High Counselor Draven, his silver eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. "A gift to remind them of their place. Let us give them something that seems royal but is worthless to us." The others nodded, some laughing behind their polished masks. "Perhaps," said another counselor, "we should offer them the princess, the infertile one." A quiet whisper filled the room. Everyone knew about Princess Leora, the daughter of the late Empress. She was beautiful and intelligent, but cursed with infertility, a shame among the Zalarian bloodline. Many saw her as a symbol of weakness, a reminder that even royal blood could fail. Draven smiled. "Yes, let the humans have her. They will think it an honor while we know it is a mockery," and so it was decided. The Zalarian Empire would offer Princess Leora to the human delegation as a token of peace. They would call it a marriage alliance, a gesture of goodwill, but in truth, it was a cruel joke meant to humiliate both her and the humans. When Leora heard of the council's decision, she stood in silence for a long time. Her eyes, usually calm and bright, grew dim. "They offer me like a trophy," she said softly to her attendant. "Not for who I am, but for what I am not." Her attendant tried to comfort her, but Leora knew there was no comfort in obedience. She had been born royal, trained to follow orders and shaped to keep her voice quiet in the face of duty. She would go as commanded, though her heart carried the weight of shame. Days later, she stood before the council. Her gown of silver threads shimmered under the cold light. Draven spoke in a tone that dripped with false kindness. "Princess Leora, you will travel to the humans. You will join with their chosen representative, symbolizing unity. This will bring peace between our worlds." Leora bowed her head. "As the Empire commands, I obey," she replied softly. Inside, she felt like a prisoner walking toward exile. Across the stars, aboard the human flagship Valor Star, Captain Ryan Hale received the message of the treaty. Ryan was a man in his late 30s, calm-eyed and steady-handed. He had served humanity with honor through long battles, always choosing reason over pride. When he heard that the Zalarians wished to offer one of their royal family members as part of the peace, he suspected a hidden insult. But he also saw a chance for something better. "If they send her in mockery," Ryan said to his officers, "then we will treat her with respect. Humanity will show them what true honor looks like." When the Zalarian shuttle arrived, carrying the princess and her guards, the crew stood in silence on the docking deck. The air was tense. Some expected a proud alien to look down on them. Others whispered that she might be a spy. Then she appeared. Princess Leora stepped from the silver shuttle, tall and graceful, her pale skin shining like moonlight. Her golden eyes moved across the humans, not with pride, but with quiet curiosity. She looked fragile, almost ethereal, yet her expression carried a hint of sadness. Ryan stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Welcome aboard the Valor Star, Princess Leora. I am Captain Ryan Hale, representative of the United Earth Coalition." Leora looked at him, surprised by his tone. She had expected arrogance or false politeness, not genuine respect. "Thank you, Captain," she said softly. "Your ship is peaceful." He smiled faintly. "It tries to be. You must have traveled far. Please come inside. You are among friends now." Her guards wanted to stay close, but Ryan waved for them to be treated with care. Every gesture he made was calm, every word simple and honest. Leora could not understand this man. He did not act like the stories told by the Zalarian court. He did not see her as a prize or a burden. Her new quarters were small but comfortable. She found a window showing the stars stretching endlessly, each one bright and alive. On her homeworld, stars were symbols of power. To humans, they were dreams waiting to be reached. Leora sat by the window that night thinking of her past. On Zalara Prime, she had lived among people who measured worth by bloodline and strength. Here she was surrounded by humans who spoke freely, laughed loudly, and worked together without titles. When Ryan came to check on her, she asked, "Do all humans speak to their leaders so freely?" He smiled. "Most do. We respect rank, but we believe no one is above another." She tilted her head, puzzled. "That is chaos." "Maybe," he said, "but it is our kind of chaos. It keeps us honest." For the first time in many years, Leora laughed, though quietly. "Your people are strange, Captain Hale." "And yours are proud," he answered kindly. "Maybe that is why peace was so hard to find." Their conversation was brief, but it left a warmth in the air. For the first time since she left home, she felt seen as a person, not a tool. Days turned into weeks. Leora began to learn about human life. She watched the crew eat together, share stories, and help one another even without reward. On her world, no one spoke to a royal unless spoken to first. Here, engineers greeted her with smiles, doctors taught her about medicine, and soldiers treated her with friendly respect. She started visiting the ship's greenhouse, where plants from Earth grew under artificial sunlight. Ryan often joined her there after his shift. He told her about Earth's forests, oceans, and animals. She listened quietly, her mind painting pictures of a world full of color and life. One day she asked him, "Why do humans care so much for worlds that are not their own? You fight, bleed, and build for places you will never see." Ryan looked thoughtful. "Because we want our children to see them. Even if we never do, they will. That is enough." The word children struck her heart like an arrow. She turned away, trying to hide the shadow that crossed her face. Ryan noticed her silence but said nothing. Later that night, alone in her quarters, she looked at her reflection. "Children," she whispered. "Something I was told I could never have." The word burned in her chest, not from anger but from longing. Back on Zalara Prime, the council watched every report from the human ship. When they saw Leora walking beside Ryan, speaking calmly and smiling faintly, they grew uneasy. Their plan had been to shame her, but instead she seemed alive. Draven sneered. "She plays her role well. Let her think she has found peace. When the time comes, we will remind the humans who rules the stars." But far from their watchful eyes, something real was beginning to bloom. Leora had started helping the medical team on the Valor Star, using her advanced Zalarian knowledge to heal the injured. She and Ryan began to work side by side, solving small problems, sharing meals, and learning from each other. The crew respected her deeply. They did not see her as alien or infertile. To them, she was one of them, someone who cared and worked just as hard. Ryan saw it too. He admired her patience, her quiet strength, and her desire to help. One evening, as they watched the stars together, he said softly, "I think you are stronger than anyone I know." Leora looked at him, surprised. "I was told I'm broken." He shook his head. "You are not broken, Princess. You were just surrounded by the wrong people." For the first time, she felt her heart stir with something she did not understand. That night, when the ship entered a quiet orbit around a small blue planet, Leora stood by the window again. The stars reflected in her golden eyes. She thought about her past and the path ahead. The Zalarians had sent her as a mockery. The humans had received her with grace. In their kindness, she saw something her own kind had forgotten. Humanity had its flaws, but it also had warmth that could melt even the coldest pride. As she closed her eyes, a thought formed deep within her heart. Maybe this journey was not punishment. Maybe it was a beginning. And though she did not yet know it, this beginning would change the fate of two worlds forever. The Valor Star moved through the deep silence of space, its silver hull glowing softly under distant suns. Inside, life continued as usual. Crew members worked, laughed, and rested in turns. But for Princess Leora, every passing day felt like a strange new world opening before her eyes. In the beginning, she had stayed quiet, watching everything from a distance. The humans seemed to live without fear of rank or title. They treated her with politeness, but never with the false respect she was used to. Slowly, she began to understand that these people did not see her as a tool or decoration. To them, she was simply another person on the ship. That simple truth felt more valuable than any royal gift. Captain Ryan Hale often visited her. Their talks started with polite topics like trade or science, but soon turned into longer conversations about life. Ryan found her questions sharp and thoughtful. Leora, on the other hand, found him unlike any leader she had ever met. He spoke with warmth and honesty. He cared for his crew like family. One evening, as the stars drifted past the wide observation window, Leora asked, "Captain, why do your people smile so much? Even after wars and loss, they keep smiling." Ryan smiled again at her question. "Because we have to. If we stop smiling, we forget why we live. Life is short for us. Every small joy matters," she thought about that. For the Zellarians, life was long, sometimes lasting centuries, yet they found little joy in it. They worked for power, for pride, and for control. But humans, with their brief lives, seemed to live more fully. It puzzled her, but it also fascinated her. Over the next few weeks, Leora started to help in small ways around the ship. She learned how the human machines worked, how they recycled water, how they grew food in the greenhouse. She helped in the medical bay, too, using her knowledge of Zellarian healing crystals to improve the ship's limited medical systems. The crew began to trust her deeply. Even the engineers, who had once whispered doubts about her, started asking for her advice. One morning, the ship hit a patch of unstable energy fields. The alarms blared through the corridors. The crew rushed to their posts. Leora, though not trained in battle, ran to the command deck to see if she could help. "Energy spikes detected ahead," reported the navigator. "Unknown source, maybe pirate traps." Ryan gave quick orders. "Shields up. Divert power to the engines. Keep weapons ready, but hold fire." The ship shook as the energy wave struck the hull. Leora held onto a console, watching the humans move with calm discipline. For the first time, she saw what real teamwork looked like. No one shouted in fear. No one panicked. Every person trusted the others. Suddenly, one of the side panels sparked and an officer cried out, his arm burned by electricity. Without thinking, Leora rushed forward. She used her glowing Zellarian ring to project healing energy onto the wound. The burn faded in seconds. The officer stared at her, stunned. "Thank you, Princess," he said, wide-eyed. Ryan looked at her, impressed. "That was fast work." "You saved him." Leora shook her head. "No, I only helped. You saved each other by standing together." The storm passed after a few minutes and the Valor Star continued on its way. That small moment changed everything. The crew saw her no longer as a royal guest, but as one of their own. After the incident, Ryan invited Leora to join the daily meals in the mess hall. She hesitated at first. On Zellara Prime, royals never ate with commoners. But Ryan insisted gently, saying, "Here on my ship, everyone eats together. It keeps us human." She finally agreed. When she walked into the hall, all conversation stopped for a second. Then people smiled and made space for her. She sat beside Ryan and watched them eat simple food while laughing about the day's work. The sound of laughter filled her heart with a strange warmth. "Do you not miss royal feasts and servants?" Ryan asked with a teasing tone. Leora smiled faintly. "No, this feels more real." She learned about the human dishes, tried new tastes, and even helped cook once. Her first attempt at making bread turned out strange, but the crew cheered anyway. For the first time in her life, she felt useful and accepted. Every evening, she visited the observation deck. Ryan often joined her there. They would watch the stars together in silence before speaking softly. One night, Leora asked, "Captain, do you believe peace will last between our worlds?" Ryan folded his arms and looked out at the darkness. "Peace is never easy. It needs trust. The question is whether your council wants peace or pride." She sighed. "They want power. They see kindness as weakness." Ryan looked at her. "Then maybe we have to show them that kindness is a different kind of strength." She nodded slowly. His words echoed in her mind long after he left. Kindness as strength. It was a new idea, one that no one in the Zellarian court would ever speak aloud. Months passed. Leora's appearance on the ship no longer caused whispers. She was part of the Valor Star now. The children of crew members began to draw pictures of her in their free time, calling her the Star Lady. She taught them about Zellarian stars and constellations. In return, they told her stories of Earth's blue oceans and forests. The idea of Earth fascinated her more each day. Ryan showed her holovideos of the planet. She saw green lands, deep seas, mountains, and people walking freely in the sunlight. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Her world was cold and full of silver towers. Earth looked alive. "You could visit one day," Ryan said gently. "It would welcome you." She gave a small smile. "Perhaps. But I'm not sure your people would want an alien walking among them." "They will." Ryan replied firmly. You helped us. You healed our people. Humanity does not forget kindness. Her heart softened at his words. She looked at him with quiet admiration. The man who had been chosen as a joke by her council had turned out to be more noble than anyone she had known. One afternoon, a message arrived from the Zalarian Empire. Ryan was called to the communication chamber. Leora stood quietly beside him as the holographic image of High Counselor Draven appeared. His face was cold and emotionless. Captain Hale, Draven said, we trust the princess remains in your care. Remember that she represents the honor of our empire. Ryan replied calmly. She is safe and well. She has become part of this crew. Draven's eyes narrowed slightly. See that it stays that way. The treaty is delicate. Do not think this makes you equals. Ryan gave a polite nod. We do not seek equality, Counselor. We seek peace. When the image faded, Leora felt a strange mix of anger and sadness. They still see you as lesser beings, she said quietly. Ryan smiled without bitterness. Then we will let our actions speak. In time they will see. Her respect for him grew even more. As the days passed, Leora's friendship with Ryan deepened. They shared stories about their worlds, their childhoods, and their dreams. Ryan told her about his younger sister back on Earth who worked as a teacher. Leora told him about her mother, the late Empress, who believed that emotions were weakness. Maybe your mother was wrong, Ryan said softly. Maybe emotions are what make us strong. Leora looked down. If she heard you say that, she would call you foolish. Ryan laughed quietly. Then I am proud to be foolish, she smiled at that. It was the first real smile he had ever seen from her. One night the ship stopped near a nebula field, where gases glowed in pink and blue clouds. It was one of the most beautiful sights in the galaxy. Ryan invited Leora to the outer deck, where they could see it through the transparent shield. As they stood side by side, Leora whispered, I never thought humans could reach places like this. My people have always seen you as weak. Ryan replied gently. We are weak compared to many races, but weakness teaches us how to stand together. That is why we survive. Leora turned her eyes to him thoughtful. You are not what they said you were. You are more, and so are you, Princess, he said quietly. You were sent to mock us, but instead you have taught us. I think your council does not understand your worth. Her heart beat faster. She had never heard anyone speak to her like that. In his words, she felt something powerful and real, something she had never known before. They stood in silence, watching the glowing lights of the nebula reflect in their eyes. In that moment, the lines between human and alien began to fade. They were two souls standing beneath the same stars, both searching for meaning in a universe too vast to measure, and without knowing it, their friendship had just crossed into something deeper, something that would change both their destinies forever. The Valor Star drifted quietly through the endless dark of space. Weeks had passed since the ship's last contact with the Zalarian Empire. The crew went about their duties as usual, but something had changed within the heart of Princess Leora. She no longer felt like a stranger. The humans had accepted her as one of them. She worked, shared, and even laughed among them. Her friendship with Captain Ryan Hale had also grown stronger. They spent many hours together, talking about their worlds and dreams. Ryan admired her calm strength and wisdom. Leora respected his courage and compassion, yet hidden beneath their growing friendship was a quiet feeling neither of them dared to name. One morning, Leora woke with a strange heaviness in her body. Her head felt light, her vision blurred. The medical officer, Dr. Marin, examined her carefully. You are exhausted, Princess, he said gently. You should rest more. Your body may not be used to our environment. Leora nodded, though she knew it was something different. She had never been ill before. Zalarians were known for their strong health. Yet each day she felt weaker. She began to lose her appetite and found it harder to focus during her work in the medical bay. Ryan noticed it quickly. One evening, when she skipped dinner, he came to her quarters carrying a small tray of food. You have to eat something, he said softly. She smiled faintly. You sound like one of your doctors. Maybe, he said with a small grin. But I worry more than they do. His simple kindness made her heart warm. She ate a few bites just to please him, but as she looked into his eyes, she saw genuine care there, something she had never received from anyone in the Zalarian court. Days passed, and Leora's condition worsened. Her skin glowed faintly. a sign of strange energy building within her. Dr. Marin ran test after test but found nothing familiar in the data. Her body is changing, he told Ryan quietly. I cannot explain it. It is beyond human or Zalarian science. Ryan felt fear rise inside him. Could it be something harmful? Marin shook his head. I do not know. Her cells are multiplying but in a controlled way. She is not dying. She is transforming. Ryan went to her at once. She was resting near the window, watching the slow dance of distant stars. Princess, he said gently, the doctor says you are changing. Do you feel pain? Leora looked up, her golden eyes calm but uncertain. No pain, only warmth. It feels like light moving inside me. Ryan sat beside her, his voice steady. We will help you through this. You are not alone. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, in a soft voice, she asked, Ryan, do you think it is possible for something broken to become whole again? He thought for a moment. Yes, I think sometimes the universe gives second chances in ways we do not expect. Her eyes filled with quiet emotion. Then maybe I am one of those chances. The next morning, Dr. Marin rushed to Ryan's office with wide eyes. Captain, you need to see this. He handed him a small data tablet showing Leora's test results. Her blood contains new patterns. It is not purely Zalarian anymore. It is mixed somehow with human traits. It should be impossible. Ryan frowned in confusion. Mixed? How can that happen? We have no such technology. Marin took a deep breath. Captain, she is pregnant. Ryan froze. For a long moment he could not speak. That cannot be. The Zalarian said she was infertile. I know, Marin said. But the readings are clear. There is new life growing inside her. Ryan felt his mind race. A miracle had happened. Something that defied both science and logic. He looked toward the corridor that led to her quarters, his heart pounding with disbelief and awe. When he entered her room, Leora was sitting quietly, her hands resting on her lap. She looked up as he stepped in, reading the truth on his face before he spoke. It is true, isn't it? She asked softly. Ryan nodded. Yes, you are going to have a child. Tears filled her golden eyes. I was told I never could. They said my body was empty. They used that word to shame me. Empty. Ryan sat beside her, his voice firm yet gentle. You are not empty. You never were. You are stronger than anyone who ever judged you. She looked down at her hands, trembling slightly. How is this possible, Ryan? A Zalarian and a human. It should not happen. Maybe, he said, but it did. Maybe the universe wanted to show both our worlds that anything is possible when there is faith. Leora smiled through her tears. Then this child is not only mine or yours. It belongs to both worlds. When the news spread among the crew, there was shock and wonder. Some whispered that it was a sign of destiny. Others believed it was a message from the stars. But no one saw it as shame. Instead, they protected her, treated her gently, and guarded her with loyalty and love. Leora's room became quiet and peaceful. The ship's doctor monitored her daily. Human and Zalarian biology worked together in strange harmony inside her body. Every test showed stable growth. It was clear that this was no accident. It was nature's way of uniting two species through something greater than science. Ryan spent more time with her than ever. He brought her small gifts from Earth, paintings, small seashells, and even recordings of rain and wind. She listened to the sounds of Earth with fascination. It sounds alive, she said softly. It is, Ryan replied. And one day you will walk there and feel it for yourself. She smiled at the thought, her eyes shining. Perhaps our child will walk there too. But far away on Zalara Prime, the High Council received reports of her pregnancy. When Draven read the message, his expression turned from disbelief to rage. Impossible, he shouted. She cannot bear life. It is a lie. Yet when the truth was confirmed by their own spies, fear spread across the council. The news of a child born from both human and Zalarian blood could destroy their old beliefs. If the infertile princess could bring life through unity, then their pride meant nothing. Draven ordered silence. No one must speak of this. If this reaches the people, it will shatter our control. He sent a secret order to capture the Valor Star and bring Leora back to Zalara Prime. Unaware of the danger, Ryan and Leora continued their journey. One night, as the ship floated near a quiet system, Leora sat by the window, her hand resting gently over her growing stomach. Ryan stood beside her, watching the stars. Do you ever think about what our child will become? She asked softly. Every day, Ryan said. Maybe they will build a bridge between our worlds. Maybe they will show everyone that peace is real. Leora looked at him with gratitude. You believe in hope even when everything says you should not. That is what makes us human, he replied. Her eyes softened. Then perhaps I am learning to be human too, he smiled. No, you are teaching us how to be better humans. The quiet between them was filled with peace. The war, the anger, the politics of empires all felt far away. In that small ship there was only life and love in its purest form, but the peace did not last. The following week, alarms blared across the ship. The radar picked up 3 Zalarian warships approaching fast. The crew scrambled to battle stations. Ryan's voice echoed through the intercom. All hands prepare for evasive maneuvers. We are being pursued. Leora rushed to the command deck. Ryan, they are from my world. They have come for me. I know, he said, his tone steady. We will not let them take you. The ships fired warning shots, their beams cutting across space. The Valor Star dodged skillfully, its engines roaring as it raced for safety. Ryan's crew worked like one heart. The humans refused to give up even when the enemy was stronger. Leora stood beside him, her hand gripping the edge of the console. They will destroy you if you protect me. Ryan shook his head. We protect our own. That includes you. His words filled her with courage. She moved to the communication panel and spoke to the attacking ships. This is Princess Leora of Zalara. Stop your fire. I am alive and well. I carry life within me. If you harm this ship, you destroy the future of both our worlds. Her voice carried through the void of space. For a moment, the warships fell silent. Then they turned away, vanishing into the distance. The Valor Star floated in calm once again. The crew cheered. Ryan turned to Leora, his voice quiet. You just saved us all, she smiled softly. No, Ryan, I only spoke the truth. That night, Ryan stood outside her quarters. Through the window, he could see her sitting with her hands resting gently over her stomach, the soft light of the stars falling on her face. She looked peaceful, almost glowing. He whispered to himself, They sent her to mock us, but she has become our hope. Inside, Leora closed her eyes and whispered a silent prayer to the stars. Let this child live. Let it bring light to both our kinds. In the silence of space, something ancient and powerful seemed to listen. The miracle of 2 worlds had begun, and neither empire could stop it. The Valor Star glided through the deep stretch of stars, carrying a silence that was both peaceful and heavy. The crew stood quiet as Princess Leora prepared to return to her home planet. Years had passed since the world of Zalar had mocked her, calling her broken and worthless. Now she was returning as something no one could ever have imagined, a mother, and a symbol of unity between 2 great species. Ryan stood beside her in the control room, watching her with a proud yet calm expression. The twins, Mira and Aaron, played near the observation window. The small children had both human curiosity and Zalarian calmness. Mira's eyes glowed silver like her mother's, while Aaron's were deep blue like Ryan's. The crew adored them, calling them the children of hope. Leora looked out the window, seeing the glowing shape of her world appearing in the distance. The sight filled her heart with both warmth and fear. She had dreamed of this moment for years, but now that it was real, her heart trembled. Zalar was not a forgiving world. The Empire's council was proud, its rulers strict, and its people still divided. Yet she knew this return was necessary. Ryan stepped closer and said softly, Whatever happens there, you won't face it alone. Leora nodded. I know. You have given me more strength than I ever had before. The communication screen flashed to life. A stern Zalarian commander appeared, wearing silver armor. His voice was sharp as metal. Human ship, identify yourself and explain why you approached Zalarian space. Ryan answered calmly. This is Captain Ryan Hale of the Earth Alliance ship Valor Star. We come in peace. We bring Princess Leora of House Zarin, who wishes to meet the High Council. The officer's expression changed for a moment. His tone grew tense. Princess Leora is considered missing. Your presence here is not authorized. Leora stepped forward, her voice steady and royal. Then consider it now authorized. Tell the council their lost princess has returned, and she does not come alone. The officer stared at her and the children standing behind. His eyes widened before he cut the communication link without another word. Minutes later, the Valor Star was guided toward the capital city. a shining spire of light that stretched high into the clouds. The ship landed on a platform surrounded by guards. The air outside shimmered under the twin suns. As Leora stepped out, every Zalarian soldier bowed their heads in confusion. The sight of their princess, thought long gone, was shocking enough. But when they saw the two children beside her, their surprise turned into whispers. Is it true? She has children? Impossible. She was infertile. They have human features. What kind of union is this? Ryan stayed close to her, silent but firm. The family was escorted into the grand hall of the High Council, where the Empire's most powerful figures waited. The hall was as she remembered, tall pillars of crystal, glowing walls, and an air so heavy with pride that it could crush a lesser soul. The council members sat in a half-circle on raised seats, their faces cold. At the center was the Supreme Chancellor, Leora's uncle, who had once called her a symbol of failure. Princess Leora, he began slowly, you were given to the humans as a gesture of peace. You were never expected to return, yet here you stand. Leora lifted her chin. Yes, Chancellor. I was given away as a joke. I was told that a human would never understand me. But I learned that humans have hearts stronger than our pride. The room fell silent. Ryan stood behind her, holding Mira and Aaron close. The council's eyes moved toward the children, unable to hide their shock. A councilwoman leaned forward. You claim these children are yours? They are, Leora said firmly. They are born of both human and Zalarian blood. They live proof that life can grow where none believed it could. The Chancellor narrowed his eyes. We declared you infertile long ago. How can this be possible? Because you never tried to see me as more than my weakness, she answered. You believed a label was truth. But humanity taught me that strength is not what we are born with. It is what we build through love and courage. A murmur spread through the council chamber. Some were angry, others uncertain. The old traditions were being challenged right in front of them. The Chancellor rose from his seat, his voice rising. Do you realize what your actions have done? You have mixed the blood of two species. You have created something unnatural. Ryan finally spoke, his voice calm but firm. No, Chancellor. They created something new. You see a threat, but we see hope. The children of Leora are the future, not a mistake. The guards tightened their hold on their weapons, waiting for orders. But the Chancellor did not speak. He looked at the twins again. Mira stepped forward and reached out her small hand toward him. Her innocent voice broke the tension. Are you angry because I am different? The old man froze. The child's question cut through every layer of pride in the room. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, Leora said, You see, even a child can understand what the council has forgotten. Difference is not danger. It is the start of change. Outside, word had already spread through the city that the lost princess had returned with children. Thousands of Zalarians gathered around the council tower, waiting to see her. The air was full of voices and questions. The Chancellor looked out at the crowd visible through the tall windows. The people will not accept this easily. Then let them see me, Leora said. She walked out onto the balcony with Ryan beside her and the children in front. The sight made the crowd gasp. The princess who had once been sent away in shame now stood proud. My people, she called out, her voice echoing through the square. Years ago you gave me away to a human in Mockery. You said I was broken and unworthy, but the human you mocked treated me with kindness. He gave me what no power could, life and hope. The crowd listened in silence. These children are not a mistake, she continued. They are the bridge between two worlds. They carry our blood in the heart of humanity. Look at them and see what peace can create. The people began to murmur again, but this time the tone had changed. There was curiosity, not hate. Some of the older Zalarians bowed their heads, realizing the truth of her words. Ryan placed his hand on her shoulder. Leora looked at him and smiled faintly. She could see pride in his eyes, not for himself, but for her. The Chancellor slowly stepped onto the balcony as well. He looked over the vast crowd, then turned to Leora. Perhaps, he said softly. We have been blind for too long. Leora answered, It is not too late to see again. The old man nodded. Then he lifted his hand toward the crowd and declared, Princess Leora, daughter of Zalar, is no longer an exile. She is welcome among us once more, and her children shall be known as the children of peace. The crowd erupted into cheers. The sound filled the air, rising into the twin suns above. That night, the capital city shone brighter than ever before. The people of Zelar celebrated for the first time in years without fear or arrogance. Leora walked through the palace garden with Ryan and the twins. The air smelled of night flowers. For the first time, she felt truly free. Ryan looked at the stars and said quietly, "You changed them more than any war ever could." Leora smiled. "No, we changed them together." Mira and Aaron ran ahead laughing, their voices echoing through the trees. In that moment, Leora realized something simple and powerful. The galaxy had once called her broken, but it was never her body that was weak. It was the hearts of those who judged her. Now, with her children and her human companion, she had healed not only herself but 2 entire worlds. As the twin moons rose above the sky of Zelar, she whispered softly, "This is only the beginning." And somewhere beyond the stars, the universe seemed to listen. The twin suns of Zelar rose high above the Silver City, bathing the capital in soft golden light. It had been 2 years since Princess Leora returned to her homeworld. The council had accepted her and the children, and slowly change began to move through the empire like a quiet wind. The people had learned to see humans not as enemies but as partners. Leora walked through the garden of her palace, watching Mira and Oran play by the shining pool. Their laughter filled the air, mixing with the song of small skybirds. Ryan stood nearby, helping the children build a small model of a ship using stones and glowing glass. It was a calm morning, one that felt almost unreal after all the years of struggle and fear. Leora often thought about how far they had come. Once she had been sent away as a joke, a broken princess who was supposed to disappear. Now she stood as the living proof that hope could grow even in the darkest places. But even peace had its challenges. Not everyone in the Empire accepted her new role. Some still believed the old ways should remain, that the purity of Zalarian blood was sacred. Others feared that the new alliance with humans would bring more change than the Empire could handle. That morning, one of the royal messengers arrived with news. He bowed deeply before her and said, "Princess Leora, the High Council requests your presence. There is an urgent matter about the peace treaty." Ryan looked up, hearing the words. Leora nodded calmly and said, "Tell them I will come." She turned to Ryan and smiled softly. "It seems peace still needs to be protected," he smiled back. "Then we protect it together, as always." They went to the council chamber, where the old and new leaders gathered around a long silver table. The Chancellor was there too, now older and quieter than before. He greeted Leora and Ryan with respect. "The Council has received a message," he said. "There are growing threats at the border. Some Zalarian warlords believe peace with humans has made us weak. They plan to break away from the Empire and attack Earth colonies to prove their strength." The hall filled with murmurs. Ryan's eyes hardened slightly. "So after all we have done, there are still those who want to start another war." "Yes," the Chancellor replied. "But this time we have something stronger than armies. We have unity. The people have seen what your family represents." Leora stood tall. "Then let us remind them. We will go to the border worlds and show them that peace is not weakness, it is courage." The council hesitated, but no one could deny her will. The Chancellor finally nodded. "Very well. Princess Leora, you will represent Zelar. Captain Ryan will represent Earth. Together, you will travel to the border and bring back those who have lost their way." Within a day, the Valor Star was ready once more. Mira and Aaron stayed behind with trusted caretakers, though they cried when their parents said goodbye. Leora knelt and held their small hands. "Be brave. We will come back soon." The children nodded, though their eyes were full of tears. Ryan promised, "When we return, we will take you to see the human world. You will love the oceans and the green fields." The ship lifted off, glowing blue against the sky. As it rose, the city below waved flags of both Zelar and Earth. The sound of the people cheering echoed across the valley. The journey to the border was long. Many of the outer colonies had not yet accepted the peace. Some believed the old empire was better, ruled by pride and strength. When the Valor Star landed on the world of Karath, they were met by cold stares. The warlord who ruled the planet, General Draxon, was a tall and proud Zalarian with dark silver armor. He looked at Leora with open disdain. "So the broken princess returns, now wearing human kindness as her crown." Leora did not react to the insult. She stood firm and answered, "I return as a daughter of Zelar who believes in a better future." You fight for the past, Draxon. But the past cannot feed your people. It cannot heal your wounds, Draxon laughed. Peace makes us soft. The humans will betray you one day and your so-called unity will crumble. Ryan stepped forward. You think war makes you strong, but it only destroys what you already have. Humans once thought the same way. We learned that strength without heart is nothing. The soldiers around Draxon murmured. Some of them seemed uncertain. Leora noticed it. She took a step closer and said, Look at me. You all once believed I could never bring life. But here I am, a mother. If life can grow from what you called impossible, then peace can grow too. Her words touched many hearts. The crowd of soldiers fell silent. Draxon's expression changed slightly, as if the truth had pierced through his pride. Still, he raised his voice again. You speak like a human. Maybe you no longer belong to us, Leora raised her hand. I belong to both worlds. That is what makes me strong. Before Draxon could reply, a sudden explosion shook the ground. A group of rebels attacked the meeting, believing that if they destroyed the peace envoys, war would rise again. The sky filled with smoke and light. Ryan pulled Leora back as guards rushed to protect them. The battle was quick but fierce. Leora saw one of the rebel ships about to crash into the city's power center. Without thinking, she ran toward the control station, her royal guards following. Leora, wait, Ryan called. But she was already moving. Using the control panel, she redirected the ship's path into an empty field before it exploded. The impact threw dust into the air, but the city was saved. When the smoke cleared, the people looked at her in awe. General Draxon stood frozen, realizing that she had just risked her life to protect even those who had insulted her. Slowly, he knelt before her. Princess, you have proven what I could not understand. You are stronger than any warrior I have ever known. The rest of his soldiers followed, bowing their heads. Ryan walked to her side, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. You did it, he said quietly. Leora smiled softly. No, we did it. Together. In the following days, the border worlds agreed to the peace treaty. The rebellion faded, replaced by unity and cooperation. For the first time in centuries, both empires shared trade, science, and education. Months later, a great ceremony was held in the capital city of Zelar. The council gathered with leaders from Earth to sign the final pact of alliance. Leora and Ryan stood before a sea of people. Mira and Aaron were there too, smiling proudly beside them. The Chancellor raised his voice. Let it be known across the stars that today, Zelar and Earth become one in spirit. And let us honor those who made it possible, the Mother of Two Worlds. The crowd erupted into cheers, chanting Leora's name. She looked down at her children, who held small flags of both planets. Tears filled her eyes, not of sorrow, but of deep peace. That night, after the celebration, Leora stood on the palace balcony with Ryan. The city below glowed with countless lights. The twin moons reflected in her eyes as she whispered, Do you remember when I first came to your ship? I was afraid and broken, Ryan smiled. I remember. You said you had nothing to give. But you gave me everything, love, courage, and a new beginning for both our worlds. She turned to him. And you gave me faith in myself. They stood there quietly, watching the stars. Mira and Aaron ran to them, laughing as they pointed to the sky. Look, Mama, look, Papa, 2 moons and 1 sky. Leora lifted them both into her arms. Yes, she said softly. Just like us, 2 worlds, 1 heart. In that moment, the universe seemed to hold its breath. The stars shone brighter, as if blessing the family that had changed everything. The story of Princess Leora and Captain Ryan spread across galaxies. It was told in songs and stories in schools and homes, as a reminder that humanity and hope could heal even the deepest divides. And whenever someone spoke of her name, they did not remember the princess who was mocked for her weakness. They remembered the woman who returned as a mother, the mother of 2 worlds whose love rewrote the destiny of the stars. The end.